All right, and welcome. Hi, I'm Josh Sharp, and today with me I have a very special guest from all the way from the UK. She is a certified, let me get this right, elite book yourself solid coach with Michael Port's system. An absolutely amazing person. She has an amazing story, and all technical difficulties aside, Neelam, thank you for being here today. I greatly appreciate you and greatly appreciate being able to chat with you today. Just first off, thanks for being on.
No, that's great. Thank you. I appreciate the invite and the fact that I can be here with you today. So thank you.
Yeah. So just to kind of get started, I know kind of what this whole series has been about is this idea around creating a business that um, serves you and serves your lifestyle and serves others to a greater degree, rather than you serving the business fully. And kind of what we talked about is how tragedies in your life can affect that, and just to kind of what kind of puts you on this road to the business that you're in, to doing coaching, and how did you get started on that path?
Yeah, great. Well, Josh, I believe in defining moments, and I believe that defining moments occur throughout your whole life. And these are the moments that you actually sometimes unconsciously make a decision. You don't always take action at that point in life. Action may take a little bit longer, maybe even years, even 20 years for you to take action based upon that defining moment. So for me, I've always been very ambitious. My family had very high expectations of where I was going to get on in my life. Eldest of 7 children, and so that meant as soon as the seventh child was born, I was basically a part-time mummy at the age of probably so he's 7 years younger than me, so probably at the age of about 10. So my father was a business owner himself. My mum and dad worked in their own business, and but my dad's partner ran off with all the money, so he left my father and my mum in a lot of debt. And at the age of 16, my dad said to me, he said, "Neelam, do you want to do A levels or do you want to work?" He could have knocked me over with a feather, because I was thinking, well, obviously I want to study. But without my father saying to me, "Neelam, we need help," because he promised every single employee he would pay them the money that he owed them, the wages he owed them. And he said he promised that it didn't matter if it took him a year, 2 years, 10 years, he would make sure he paid them. And that's what my mum and dad did for many years. So at the age of 16, I left school, and before that, at the age of 12, my mum was a seamstress, so she worked from home. So she used to drag my sister and I to do all the hooks for her, and then I started sewing with her, and I hated sewing. But it was funny how I ended up in a sewing factory at the age of 16, and all I did was cut threads. I used to cut threads off the end of the garment, and the one day I stood there and I thought, you know what, this is a job, and do it to the best of your ability. It doesn't matter whether I'm looking down on this particular job, because this particular task is important for the company that I'm in. So to be honest, I started off there, and then I always worked through all my career to the best of my ability. And sometimes I never recognized how hard I worked or to the level that I worked. And eventually it got me to my path, which is to cause a ripple effect. I truly believe in causing a ripple effect for everybody. So if I do something for my client, he or she will do something for their client may do something for their family may do something for their children, until it goes to that person who desperately needs the help. And it may not come from me, but I hope that it has filtered through me and through the people that I work with or I know.
Very
So
cool.
that's how I got into coaching.
Very cool. And I love that. Just what your dad, taking on that he's going to pay all the employees back the money. That's a tremendous amount of responsibility. What kind of lessons did that teach you?
Yeah. Yes, that was a very big moment in our life, because obviously my father, we had to sell our home. We had a beautiful home, so we had to downgrade. And to be honest, we downgraded simply because my father was fearful, and he had a big family. He could afford to live in that home, and we still could afford to live a certain standard of life, but he chose to move and downgrade, which is fine. We had another nice house, nice big rooms for the 7 of us, all happy families. What it did for me was, let me tell you a very quick story. My father, in the 60s, I believe in the 60s, he was sitting in a local pub in the UK, and this very smartly dressed gentleman walked up to my dad, and he made a comment to my dad, and they were drinking together. I think my dad bought him a pint for about an hour, and all my father's friends and the people around him, from the Asian community, recognized the man who was sitting there with my dad, and my dad recognized him as well, but he was so humble, he just talked to him like we would to anybody. And then when the gentleman walked away, all my dad's friends ran up to him and said, "What did he say? What did he say?" Now, this guy was Dev Anand. So if any of you know Bollywood, how big is Bollywood? It's bigger than Hollywood. It produces more movies than Hollywood does. He was one of the renowned actors at that time. He liked the look of my father, and he was actually in the UK looking at people who they felt they could bring back to India and have in the industry. And he asked my dad, and he gave my dad an opportunity, and my dad said no. And my dad said no because he said, "I have a family and I have a wife." But at that time, my father didn't know that this could be the moment that this should have been the moment he said yes, because he probably would have been able to live at a very different level, be fulfilled at a very different level. But he chose his family. And that taught me a lesson. That lesson for me was that we have to put others first. We always must put others first, whether it's sometimes it may not be good for us ourselves personally, but we do tend to put others first, and that's what should be done, because when you think of others, everything else falls into place. I'm not sure if I answered your question, because I can't remember what it was you asked.
No, I think you did. I think you did.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's a great story too. I mean, I was really just interested in the lessons that you learned about responsibility, because I mean, it sounds like your father was a very strong figure in your life and influenced you in the decisions that you're making even now.
Yeah. I think the main learning thing for me has always been that my parents have always been very giving. They're fantastic hosts. My mother's a fantastic cook, and nothing fulfills my mum more than cooking for other people. So I guess that's her way of giving, and I think that's what we've learned as a family, my sisters and I and my brothers, that you have to give.
So let's fast forward that a few years, and what talk to me about the business that you created, and then what happened to kind of change that business for you.
Sure. 13 years ago, my husband was being made redundant, and I was working as a specialist lecturer for deaf undergraduates. And I'd been saying to my husband for a few years, look, you're very technical, you're very skilled, and you're an expert in your industry. You should consider setting up yourself. I had the power and the drive to do that. So by that time, I'd been to university. Although I didn't do a degree, I'd been to university, and I knew a lot about businesses and things like that. My husband didn't want to do that. He wanted to play. He didn't feel comfortable doing that. He wasn't in the right place to do that in his mind. And then I became quite ill. I was at the peak of my career, doing very well, and while I was off work, I was at home for a couple of years, for about 18 months. I took £2,000 out of our joint account because we found out there was a possibility of redundancy for him. Took those £2,000 out, set up the business name, set up flyers, little website, everything, and then just phoned all the insurance companies I could possibly phone, because he's within the car industry. Set up some contracts, and then I said to him 2 weeks before he was made redundant, I said, "Don't worry," I said, "it's all in place." And it was brilliant, because we weren't really business owners. We were setting ourselves up for failure, because we engrossed ourselves so deeply into the business, we didn't even know how much money was actually coming into the business. And some people feel comfortable saying how much they were earning, some people don't, but within 7 months we'd had a 6-figure turnover, and it was only when my accountant rang me and said, look, you need to take control of your finances, that we thought we need to take more dividends out of this business. So that's how I got into business. I was a marketing expert, he was the technical expert, and then what I found, Josh, was that I started to lose my independence, because I felt like I was answering to him, my husband, because he was the expert. It wasn't my field, it wasn't my vision. I was very good at starting a business and establishing businesses. Every time somebody came, they'd call me his secretary. And that really got to me. That really got to me, because not saying that a secretary's job is not where, because without a secretary, I know where we would be nowhere. It's just that I felt that I was being undermined for what I'd created for our family as that business. And so I started up a gift wrapping business. As you can probably see, I have all my little gift wraps up there. Those are my little tokens. And again, my laughable idea. I call it my laughable idea because people laughed at me. You're giving up a lecturer's post to wrap presents for £2, for £3. The thing is, I believe that we are gifts. We are gifts, and we should share our gifts. It doesn't matter what your gift is. And that's why I truly believe that everybody should really hone in on their skills and become an expert within their field. Because what expertise does, first of all, it encourages the expert or the person, the specialist, to really know their skill inside out, to know more than so many other people, that they can serve others. So that's what I believe, and that's how the gift wrapping idea came about. Gifts, how do you make somebody feel by giving them a gift? So that's how that one came along. Again, that's a business that's still running. It's mainly passive income. I have a TV show that I do. I also have all my courses online, etc., and that's called All Occasions Gift Wrap. So when you give to others, when you think about how they're going to feel, this is when we start to serve. This is when we seriously start to serve, is when we keep thinking about how they feel. And then obviously the coaching came along about 4 years ago, working with some corporate creative clients. I even had the directors of some of our biggest banks in the UK gift wrapping, nurturing that. And it's amazing how elated a man feels when he beautifully wraps a present. It's absolutely amazing. And again, that from there, I started getting a lot of interest in coaching. The women who used to come to me, they were in transition. What they were doing, and it was really strange, because they were all thinking about becoming coaches themselves. So they'd worked in a corporate field, very heavily stressed, overwhelmed, family sort of are moving on, the children have left home, and they couldn't find their path anymore, and their relationships were starting to break down a little bit too. And when they used to come to me for the creative courses, they used to offload onto me. And I've always been somebody that people offload onto anyway from a very young age, and it feels normal to me. So again, the coaching came through demand, because when I joined strategic intervention coaching, like some of our fellow colleagues here, I was working on myself. I was working on myself because we have to work on ourselves in order to help others and to assist others in their life. So I decided that I didn't want to be a life coach, because what I was good at was business. I was good at building a business, establishing and marketing, and that was one of the reasons that I decided to go into the field of business coaching or business expertise and consulting. Mainly, my clients are mainly coaches, startups, and established up to about 5 years.
Very cool. Very cool. I'm sorry. I'm taking notes.
That's fine. That's fine. As
So
long as I'm not talking too much.
No. That's the good part. It's just hearing your story, and so now you're kind of a serial entrepreneur in a way. I should have introduced you that way. It's just
Mm.
you've started multiple businesses, been successful in different businesses, even to the point where just you've got it to the point where it's just passive. And
Yeah.
what's the difference? What's the difference between being tied to a business and creating a business that just runs? Like how what was the what was kind of the mindset you had to have in order to do that?
For myself and for a lot of the people that I work with and talk to, it's about creating work-life balance.
Hmm.
Because we become so engrossed in our business, we're not really doing business. And sometimes it's very difficult to say it correctly. For me, when I first started the gift wrapping business, it was a more of a glorified hobby. And it was only the day when one of the main craft fairs in the UK, one of the largest craft fairs, rang me and said, "Look, Neelam, we'd like to." Well, they gave me the expertise status. "Hi, Neelam, we're looking for a gift wrapping expert.
Mm.
We came across your website and we'd like to invite you to do a presentation to an audience of about 300 people." I ran down from upstairs in my studio, ran down to, because my husband's depot is just not far from where I am. And I said to him, I said, "Look, I've had this offer." And he said to me, "Can you guess? You can't do that." And, I really did run back into my studio and I started to cry because I thought, who am I to do that?
Hmm.
What status do I have in this industry to say, yes, I will stand up in front of 500 people, 300 people. I know there's going to be some big retailers there. Um, and I will talk about gift wrapping and I will talk about creativity. Who am I to do that? And I'll be honest with you, I had to speak to somebody and I had some NLP to just get rid of that fear, because there was no way me, quiet Neelam, could ever stand on stage and speak. And it really worked. And I know that the reason why my presentations became very successful and very, in demand is because I know my art so well. I'm an expert at what I do, because then you can stand anywhere and you can just really off the tongue or really off your fingertips, like I do in regards to the gift wrapping. And that's one of the reasons that I feel that I've been able to move forward in my business, is because I claim the expertise and I work so hard on it. And that's what I teach others. You have to claim your expertise in your field to stand out. And standing out doesn't just mean about standing out and saying, "Look, I'm the expert." It's about getting the right clients to you, getting the right people to you, the people that you're meant to serve, because you're not meant to serve everybody and anybody.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, I find a lot of a lot of us fight that. It's like really picking that I'll say niche in the U.S., you'll say niche in the U.K.
Yeah.
Picking that niche, if you will, of who is it that I'm working with? What do you say to somebody who's struggling with that they haven't quite zeroed in on that yet?
Sure. As you know, Josh, as an elite book yourself solid expert in the UK, I have a red velvet rope policy. And one of the reasons I trained up as a book yourself solid coach was because I'd read the book years ago. I am an implementer. I implemented the book in my business, my creative business. And it got to a stage where I was double booking. I had 3 diaries, believe it or not, for 3 months of the end of the year. I double booked 3 corporates in one day.
Wow.
So I knew what was happening to me was that I didn't even check the one diary. I just did it into the other one. And I didn't have enough staff to go out and service his corporate clients. So that took my credibility away. I actually fell down the stairs in my studio twice in the same day. I actually cut my hand on one of our large cutters the same day. So that's when I actually sat down and I thought, I need to know what the next step is in my business. I'm not the sort to be scared to ask for help. I'm not the sort to be scared to show my vulnerability, because I think that's what gives us the strength, is to be open. And that's when I decided that the book worked for me. I have to meet the man himself and get assistance in creating the income that I need to create without killing myself, basically.
Right. Right.
Yeah. So that's when I went to see Michael Port. I worked with him for a couple of years, and now I work with him with his clients as well as my own clients in the UK. And what I do is I specialize in working with coaches to help them to establish themselves as experts, because when they establish themselves as an expert, then they can really work on increasing sales to a different level. That's what my belief is. It's not always the same for everybody. Some people don't believe that anybody should claim their expertise. You know, everybody should be comfortable with what they want to do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of mindset play. You know, that was one of the reasons I decided to do SI training, because I know that we can set up a business, we can have a fantastic idea, a great product. If you're not right there, it's very difficult to move forward.
Right. Right.
And what I mean by right here is having the right mindset, the confidence, and the oomph to really do what you have to do to create a successful business.
Right. Right. And is that kind of where you start? Is that kind of where you start with the foundation of, developing that successful mindset?
Yeah, so let's say, for example, I mean, basically what I do is I help my clients to implement Book Yourself Solid. So we work on, I have a very short-term program which is online. People can learn online. They can do a 4-week intensive with me. So, I speak to a group twice a week for 4 weeks, and we go through the whole system, and that is intensive, but it gets you kick-started and it gets you to implement. Or you can work on my VIP program, where we do look at implementing the system and my own program, which is to become an expert now. And for example, if I have a call with a client, she may ring me up and say, look, Neelam, I just don't know what to do. I'm struggling. Everybody's picking on me. You'd be surprised how many women still say that, and even men, to be honest, that they feel they're being hounded by everybody around them. Everybody's saying, it's not working. How many years are you going to spend on this business? And you're undermined when that happens. I know myself, sometimes my daughters, when I first started the creative business, they'd say, Mom, you're giving, they were very threatened because they'd seen me going out as, dressed up every single day into a career that was quite demanding. So I was quite stressed. And then suddenly stopping everything to stop at home and then stopping my studio. They felt a little bit threatened by the fact that they were losing me because they didn't understand my vision and my dream. And we always say we're doing it for our family, we're doing it for our children. We are doing it for ourselves first. We must do that, because if we don't do it for ourselves, we're not able to nurture anybody else if we don't nurture ourselves. So that is something everybody should think about. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's lots, and I don't want to just do this, have a Michael Port interview, because I know you have a wealth
No.
of knowledge on all of that. So I'll kind of steer us back, because I'm always curious in that vein, and definitely that there's lots of mindset stuff. What you mentioned, so I found it interesting. You seem to get the signals from the universe, God, your life, that it shows up as tragedy in some ways for you. You're saying, okay, I fell down the stairs, I cut my hand twice. Like, are those the kind of the signals that you get is that kind of the wake up call when you're like, oh, I need to change or do something different?
Yeah. For me, my wake-up call started from from when I was a young child, and I actually write poetry. So when I'm in a very emotional high state, and if there's an issue going on, rather than going to somebody or crying on somebody's shoulder, sometimes I will do that. I'll start writing, and I write poems, because I'm not really a blogger, or I'm not somebody who writes a lot or types a lot, but I will write poetry because that's something I've done from a young age. So for me, when I talk about defining moments, it could be anything. I mean, for me, it was at that time. Yes, the money was coming in. Yes, I was being recognized as an expert, but inside, I was slowly getting battered and beating myself because I wasn't sleeping, working 24/7, and that wasn't what I wanted. So I'd completely done the opposite for when I left work. So I wasn't spending no time with my children or my husband either. So there was a time in about 10 years ago when I became seriously ill, and I was told that I wasn't going to survive. And the thing that this still chokes me because it's still so raw, and I think it will be for the rest of my life. When the doctor said to me, I remember it was on a Tuesday evening, it was 10 past 8 in the evening, my husband had just left the hospital, and they did it when he left, and they said, the scan results have come through, your injury is very serious and there's nothing we can do. And I'd been in hospital for about a month by that time. And I was sort of just gobsmacked. I just sat there and I was thinking, they can't be telling me this. And to be honest, I was okay until they told me that, and then suddenly I just deteriorated. And I asked for a second opinion. I went to a different hospital, and luckily one of the surgeons that my surgeon rang, he rang the other hospital. A surgeon that was there, he's one of the main consultants in that particular industry. He said, send her here. He said, I've seen a case like this before. It was a medical blunder. I went there and he saved my life.
Wow.
And the moment that shook me to the core was when they wouldn't let my daughters come in and see me. I could see them through the window, through the glass, and they were standing in a corner. My older daughter was hugging the little one. She was only about 3. My younger one was 3. The older one was about 5 years older than her, 9, 10. And they were sobbing their hearts out, and they wouldn't allow them to come and see me. Yeah. And it was that moment that I thought, forget it. Nothing is worth more to me than my family. And to me, that was when I realized, and I'll be honest with you, that's when I realized that, yes, going out there, getting a successful career, going to uni, doing this, doing that, it was just a way of me feeling significant in myself. That was all. And I didn't need it because everything I had was around me. Everything I had was around me. I was so blessed with everything that I had. And I'll be honest with you, since that time when I saw them standing there, it changed my whole view on life and who I was and what I was meant to do here. Because some parents, they see that, but they never come back out again.
Wow.
So that still chokes me.
Yeah. No, thank you for sharing that. I mean, that's a beautiful story, and it's powerful. I mean, right? So when you made the decision that your family is the most important, how did that translate back to your work? How did you take that new priority into your work?
Yeah, because then I was doing it for a different reason. Before I was doing it was obviously it was to pay the bills. I wasn't working so that I was earning millions of pounds and living a lavish lifestyle. I'm not living a lavish lifestyle even now because I don't need to live a lavish lifestyle. I'm happy how I am. There's a few things I like, and there's a few things I've purchased, but that's fine. I can do that. What was your question, Josh?
The distinctions that you made from that moment after seeing your daughters there? How did you take that back into your work? That you were going to now, you're working yourself to death before, but now you're going to put more of a priority on family, because you realize that was a higher priority for you. How are you going to, how did that then go back into your work and translate into how you built businesses since then?
Yeah. So from that moment in time, my vision and goal for my business has changed. So it wasn't just about creating a successful business. It was creating a lifestyle for myself, which was that I didn't want to work 24/7, and I wanted to make sure that I was spending more time with my family and less time in the business. More time with my loved ones and less time with my clients, basically, clients that I had were coming from left, right, and center. And that's how it changed. So I changed my vision, I changed my view, how I wanted to move forward. And then the opportunity, it was really strange. I didn't have to go running for the opportunities. I didn't have to sort of scrape through the floor to look for these opportunities. They started to fall in my laps because my world view changed.
Mm. And what was the worldview that changed? Like how was that vision?
The vision for me is that I always thought I had to be significant because as you can imagine, an Asian woman, eldest of 7 children, and probably the eldest in all sort of my uncles and aunts' children. I was the eldest. I was always expected to set an example. So really, I never had a life myself. I was always a mother figure to everybody else. So my view was always, I want to break free and I want to do something for myself and make it about myself for a change. And then when I started doing that, to be honest, I enjoyed the hard work. I enjoyed going out there. I enjoyed doing what I did because, I'm driven with passion and I enjoyed it. But it became detrimental to me
Mm-hmm.
because basically, I always thought, for example, Josh, I always thought from a young age, I wanted to be a doctor. When I made that decision to work with my parents or to help them to pay their debts off, I decided that I'll never go back to university. I did go back to university and trained as a sign language interpreter. I did do that. And I always, I would say up to 10 years ago, I felt and I believed I had to have a degree. It didn't matter how successful I was in anything I did. Without that degree, I was nothing.
Mm.
So anyway, my employers put me on a degree within the sign language world. And you will not believe the first day of that degree, I walked in, I sat there, I had the biggest migraine I've had in all my life. I couldn't see through my left eye, it was that bad. And I thought, maybe God, maybe the Lord, maybe the universe is telling me something. And I took myself out of there. And I realized I don't need significance. Significance comes from loving yourself, and that's all you need to do.
Mm. Mm. So rather than the significance, you place more emphasis on the love, on the connection.
Yes, that's right.
That's been more of your focus, and also contribution. I mean, you talk a lot about what your gift giving business is all about contribution in a way, right? That's kind of
Yes, we I believe that we are here and our ultimate goal is always to contribute. And I truly believe that in order to contribute, we do need to have some form of financial stability. So I'm not saying that, we need to have hundreds and thousands of pounds stashed away so we can go out there and do the work for charity, because we need to be happy with what we're doing now. Happiness comes from doing now. It doesn't, there's no point of saying, well, actually, in 5 years' time, when I have £100,000, I'm going to be happy, because you won't, because it's never going to be enough. You have 100,000, you want 200,000, you want 1 million, 2 million. It's never going to be enough. The thing is, be happy in what you're doing now. Great, take it on fully, because when you're happy now, you are more productive, you are more confident, and you really then can get the message out, the message that you want to get out to the world. It's all about doing it now with what resources you have. And everybody wants to, I mean, it's the same with Tony Robbins. How much does he contribute?
right.
He immensely. And that's, I would say, I'm making this big statement about Tony Robbins. The fulfillment he gets from doing his hampers and doing the Christmas gifts that he does for charity probably is 100 times more than when he's standing in front of a stage of 10,000 people. That fulfillment of giving and contributing to society without feeling worried about anything else. That's where I think we all want to go. And, I certainly try my best, and I know I can do better. But it's about contribution for me. Contribute, and the universe is there. It's abundant. And one comment I always make is creativity, not competition, creates a thriving business.
Right.
And I totally work to that law. Totally.
What is that again? I'm going to have to write that down.
Creativity, not competition, creates a thriving business.
Creativity, not competition. Creates a thriving business.
Or builds a thriving business. Because when you're creative, you're truly creative. When you're watching your competitors, you would rather do what they're doing, and you sort of suppress your own creativity. So when you're creative in your own mind and you carry on doing what you're supposed to be doing, you're going to be doing something completely different. If you're competing against everybody else and you're threatened by other people, they're doing the same sort of thing, then all you're doing is you're spending a lot of your time and energy worrying about what other people are doing. And you may never, ever even get to that level, or you may never, ever even earn that much money because you're holding yourself back by being competitive in your own mind.
Right, right. Yeah, I can see that. I mean, that's a paradigm shift too, right? It's that paradigm that, I see it for, in the business that I work in. I don't see any I don't see it as competition. Like, if
No,
I find somebody else who does what I do, I want to try to, okay, how can we partner up and JV, or, do something
exactly.
together? And,
Yeah.
I'm always looking for opportunities in that. And, or,
Embrace them.
yeah, a lot of times I'll send people leads that, might not be a good fit for me, but they might be a good
Mhm.
fit for them, to just to work that way. So yeah,
Sure.
I can understand that. I can understand that. I like that the creativity, not competition, creates a thriving business.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I definitely appreciate it, Neil. I think you've contributed immensely today. I think you've given a lot of insights, and you've been very you've contributed a lot of you in your stories and your heart, and I greatly appreciate that.
Thank you.
If people want to learn more, you talked a little about the courses that you do. If people want to learn more about you and about
Yeah,
what it is you offer, especially towards coaches, what kind of resources are out there for them?
sure. The first thing, Josh, for me is everything I teach and everything I do is based on what's happened to me in my life. So a lot of the conversations that I have with my clients and coaches, they are mainly women coaches, is that they are in a lot of overwhelm. So by the time they come to me, they're in a lot of overwhelm. They're juggling. I have this cartoon character that I've created of myself on a treadmill, and I'm juggling the children, the laptop. My husband's not on there because he's a bit heavy for my hand, but everything else, everything. And the only thing, that a lot of my clients who come to me aren't doing are making sales.
Hmm.
Okay, so what I do is I help them to eliminate that overwhelm by implementing systems and processes into their business. You have to work on the business. So all occasions gift wrap, it creates passive income, and like I said, the only type of work that I take on now are the TV appearances. And at the end of the day, the way I look at that as well is the fact that I'm showcasing gift wrapping skills to hundreds and thousands of viewers.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm still making an impact to on these people. That's the way I see it. Passive income. So that's giving me extra income to be able to do what I really want to do, which is to get women out of overwhelm, to create life balance and work balance, and again, cause that ripple effect. That's really important to me, that I'm here to cause a ripple effect. So 20 people down the line, that may be the person who's down, suicidal, but somewhere along the line, one of us have filtered something down to them that saved them, and that's made them again move forward in their life. So
Right.
my website is neelammeetcha.com, so it's just my name.com. And like I said, I specialize in implementing Book Yourself Solid, which is a marketing system. It's a proven marketing system by New York Times bestselling author Michael Port. And I went to see him in February, and I'm back again there next weekend for a week. So like I said, you can do the course online, or you can do it on a one-to-one, one-to-group basis, which is a 4-week intensive. Or if anybody wants to speak to me about a long-term program, they're always welcome to email me or call me and discuss it further from there. And I do operate a strict red velvet rope policy, which means that I work with some people and not others. And if I can't work with somebody, I'll refer them. If I can't refer them, I shall say no. And the reason I say no is because I can be detrimental for somebody that I can't help, and we all know that. So you asked the question earlier on about people feeling comfortable about turning work away. When you first start in business, yes, you can loosen the red velvet rope policy. If you're energized and inspired by your clients, you will do better and the best work that you possibly can with them. If you can't do it, then pass them on to somebody. Like you said, Josh, you can refer people and let them move forward that way as well.
Hmm. And you mentioned a couple times. I guess I should kind of define it for those that don't know. What is the red velvet rope policy? What does that mean?
Yeah, the red velvet rope policy is, so let's say, for example, if we're going to a VIP event, and you arrive at the VIP event and they have the red velvet rope there, and they have it on the hook, and you're on a VIP list. If you're not on that list, you're not going to get in. So the only time they let you in is if you're on that list. Now, I'm not saying that because you're not a VIP, you can't come into a particular function or a particular event. What I'm saying is that if you feel yourself that you're not able to help somebody, just because you're a coach and just because you're offering a certain type of coaching service, and then somebody comes to you about relationship, but you've done some training in that area, then my recommendation is not to do that work. I recommend you specialize in one area, so you do claim that expertise, build that expertise, and that's what you're going to be known for. So in the UK, I'm known as the gift wrapping expert, and I'm also now known as the elite book yourself solid expert in the UK. Working to expert status means you can do a better job by working and knowing your subject inside out. And I know that a lot of people won't agree with that, but then it just depends on what works for everybody. So we need to be fair with everybody, and we need to respect everybody's opinion. So the red velvet rope policy is working with clients that energize and inspire you, working with clients that you can do your best work with, working with clients that you do you know, Josh, have you ever come across a client that's really drained you?
Yes, many
The
times.
results haven't been good. I mean, how many hours have you spent with that client in comparison to a client who is your perfect ideal client?
Uh, Many more than what I wanted to when I was learning this lesson, and I,
Yeah,
felt just like you're saying, drained and de-energized, and
yeah,
I felt like I was putting out a lot, but not a lot was coming back, and it was
yeah,
it was a very uneven relationship.
that's right, yeah. And that's where the red velvet rope policy comes into play. Once you start to obviously when we start moving forward in our business more and more, we start to recognize the type of people that we're meant to serve, because you're not meant to serve everybody.
Hmm.
And those that you're not meant to serve, there's somebody there who's perfect for them. Match them up, help them to move forward somehow. Never turn anybody away fully.
Right, right. So you mentioned, so who's a really ideal client for you? You mentioned,
Hmm.
typically female coaches. They're in overwhelm. What else? What else is?
My ideal clients, they're normally between the ages of 35 to 50. They're within a transitional phase. They're in a lot of overwhelm. They are struggling with establishing their coaching business. They are doing a lot of different things and not really specifically working on one particular area that they can specialize in. They have to be implementers.
Hmm.
There have to be somebody who's willing to take, not, I'm not saying risks, but are willing to get themselves out, and they need to start to consider being fully self-expressed. Because you want to work with people who have the same values as you. We want a coach who shares the same values as us, and it's the same with myself. My coach shares the same values as me, so we resonate very well. So an ideal client for me is somebody who's starting up a coaching business, who's had some has been in a career, whose children are growing up, and they're sort of in a little bit of limbo, and they've got the qualification and they don't know where to start. Because what I find, Josh, and this really frustrates me, is that mainly coaches, especially in the UK, what's happening is they do one qualification, then they do a second qualification, then 6 7 months later they'll do another qualifications, then they'll do another one. So it's one after another after another after another. And I'm telling you, some of the women, some conversations that I have, Neelam, I have these many qualifications, I've been doing this studying now for 5 years, and I haven't had any clients. You cannot teach your client everything that you're learning. Do one subject, do one qualification, and then be so proficient at that particular skill, then offer that to your client, work on your business, market your business in a true, authentic way with integrity, and your ideal clients will knock on your door.
Mm-hmm.
It's connecting with them. It's keeping in touch. Now, marketing doesn't create awareness. Sorry, marketing doesn't create sales. It only creates awareness. Get that right. It's what you do with that awareness that counts. It's what you do with that marketing awareness that brings the clients to you. As you know, Josh, have you got a foundation? If they come to your website and you're talking all about yourself, they don't care. How are you meeting their needs? By telling them who you are and what you do.
Mm-hmm.
If you haven't got an image of yourself, people can't connect with you. You know, this is what I mean about being fully self-expressed. I will tell you, I may be sitting here talking like you know, as if I'm confident. There was a time when I couldn't even stand up and introduce myself and say my name. That's how shy I was. I couldn't speak, and I think that's why I went into the interpreting world, the sign language interpreting world, because I was just using my hands. I didn't have to speak. You know, you have to be fully self-expressed if you really want to go forward in your life and you want to help those that are waiting for us. They are waiting for us. Please understand, people out there are waiting for us. If there was anything I would ask anybody to do is prioritize and really know what it is that you offer and get yourself out to those that are waiting for you. You have a duty to help them. We all have a duty to assist them.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Well, Neelam, I greatly appreciate you and greatly
Thank you.
appreciate the message that you've given us and all the really cool insights. Is there anything kind of inspiring or something that maybe we haven't talked about that you would like to share with people who are going to listen to this?
I think what I can say is that what inspires me is that I'm alive, that I'm healthy. I have loved amazing people around me. I have amazing friends and colleagues like yourself. What more can a person ask for? Be happy with what you have. And you will wake up feeling energized every morning.
Very cool, very cool. And thank you for including me in that group.
You're most welcome.
I appreciate that.
Well, I appreciate what you've been doing, and I know it takes time to interview people, it takes time to set things up, and I know you spent a lot of time reaching out to people, so thank you for
Thank you.
asking and connecting with me. I truly appreciate your time too.
Yes, and thank you for sharing all this. And um, it's been a good time. I appreciated our conversation before. You shared a lot of stuff, and it's great to get to know you a little bit. That's always an amazing piece of this is getting to connect with other members and
Yeah,
definitely just building relationships. So I hope to continue that and continue to grow with that. So
definitely.
thank you so much. Appreciate you listening to this. And if you would like to find out more interviews, you can subscribe to the YouTube page or go to, I think it's joshuasharp.com. You can put your name and email in and you'll get new interviews as they come out. I'm having trouble with Facebook, so you're not going to see any Facebook invites from me anymore. Yeah, no, thank you for coming out, and thank you, Neelam, for sharing in this.
Thank you.
So,
I hope that we were able to affect somebody, even if it's one person, then it's all worth it.
Absolutely. Even with the technical and marketing problems, we still had viewers. We still had multiple viewers throughout this whole thing.
Brilliant.
So, yeah.
That's amazing. Great. Thank you, viewers.
So go ahead and stick around, and I'm going to end the broadcast, and then you and I can just chat for a little while, okay?
Okay, great. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye for now.